cosmologist and physicist Brian Cox feels uneasy about our sun. He says the prediction for the future of our sun is not good for life on Earth. This is by Callum Horn at Express UK. Brian Cox warned that astronomers have predicted the future of our sun, and it does not look good for life on Earth, according to him. He's a physicist. He's also a very good musician. He was a musician first. The sun is the biggest star, of course, located in the center of our solar system. It's a near-perfect sphere of hot plasma, and is believed to have a diameter of about 864,000 miles. That's 109 times the size of our Earth. It's not big as opposed to other stars, but it's big enough for us now because we live in the Goldilocks zone. But it reaches temperatures of roughly 15 million degrees centigrade. The sun is by far the most important source of our energy for life on Earth, with 3/4 of its mass consisting of hydrogen. But it will not live forever. Eventually, the hydrogen fusion in its core will become decreased to the point at which the sun is no longer in hydrostatic equilibrium, which means that its core will undergo a marked increase in density and the temperature, while its outer layers expand to eventually become a red giant. Professor Brian Cox revealed during his BBC series A Collection of Wonders how scientists at the Paranal Observatory predicted when this will happen, and it's not good for life on Earth. While visiting the observatory at the Atacama Desert in Chile, Professor Cox explained how they use 4 big telescopes to map out the lifespan of stars in our solar system. He said in 2013, quote, "Perched high above the clouds, 4 colossal instruments make up the European Southern Observatory's very large telescopes, VLT for short." And he says, even with the naked eye, the scene here is spectacular. The first thing you notice is streaking across the sky the Milky Way. You can have no doubt when you look at it that we live in a universe made up of billions of stars. Professor Cox went on to explain how the color of the star reveals its age. He adds, the next thing you notice, if you look very carefully, is that the stars are not just white beams of light, they are actually colored beams of light. Astronomers have gazed upon a galaxy full of stars at all stages of their lives, from youthful bright stars to middle-aged yellow stars like the sun. They meticulously charted the nearest 10,000 of them and arranged each one according to its color and brightness. Professor Cox then explained how astronomers use something known as the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram to predict the future of our sun. It's a tool that scatters plots of stars showing the relationship between the stars, absolute magnitudes or luminosities, versus their stellar classifications or effective temperatures. And he said, what emerges is one of the most powerful and elegant tools in all of astrology. Well, I think he means here to mean astronomy. The Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. This diagram allows astronomers to predict the history and the evolution of the stars, and in particular, their future life, the future life of our sun. So the sun will spend most of its life in the main sequence, steadily burning its vast reserve of hydrogen fuel, which will last for at least another 5 billion years. Then its core will collapse, causing its outer layer to expand. As Mercury is engulfed in all this, it will grow to 200 times today's size, and our own planet's prospects are, of course, dim, because we will also be engulfed in all this expansion of the sun's outer layer. Now, the end of the world, that means, at that time. Will the Earth survive the sun's death? The study gives hope to rocky planets. Again, Sebastian Ketley on Express UK explains, rocky planets built from dense elements are the most likely worlds to survive the explosive death throes of their star. This is what astronomers find. But what does this mean for our Earth? We're not just made up of rock, we have air, we have beautiful waters. Now, while a low-mass star like the Sun burns up all of its fuel, it sheds its outer layers until it becomes a so-called red giant. And these outer layers spread through the star's immediate vicinity, meaning us, of course, threatening to completely annihilate any planet in their way. The star itself will then shrink down, become a super-dense white dwarf star, while it slowly loses heat over trillions of years. Any planet caught in this cosmic cataclysm would be extremely lucky to survive, but there are some planets in particular which are best suited to weather a storm like this. Astronomers at the University of Warwick in the UK found small rocky worlds are the most likely planets to survive a star's explosive death. Planets like these tend to be packed with hardy elements which can withstand the gravitational tidal waves of an expanding star. The incredible findings were published May 14th, 2 days ago, in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. University of Warwick's astronomers studied the effects of stellar deaths on planets ranging in size from so-called super-Earths to minor exo-Earths. Now, Dr. Dimitri Veras from Warwick's Department of Physics said, the paper is the first ever dedicated studies investigating tidal effects between white dwarfs and planets. He said this type of modeling will have increasing relevance in upcoming years, when additional rocky bodies are likely to be discovered close to white dwarfs. But what do the study's finding mean for future of safety on our Earth? The astronomers predicted our 4.6 billion-year-old star will continue to burn for another 5 billion years or so before such a catastrophe faces us, before it starts to expand into a red giant. But once that happens, Warwick astronomers are not entirely sure what will happen to a multi-layered planet like our Earth. Dr. Vera said, our study, while sophisticated in several respects, only treats homogeneous rocky planets that are consistent with their structure throughout. See, that's not ours. Ours is not consistent throughout. We're not just a piece of rock flying through space. He says a multi-layered planet like Earth would be significantly more complicated to calculate, but we are investigating the feasibility of doing that as well. So that means uniform planets built almost entirely of heavier, denser elements like heavy metals stand a good chance of survival. That's not us, though. Other factors to consider is the planet's distance from its dying star. The Earth sits from the Sun at an average distance of approximately 93 miles. That's 93 million miles. That's about 150 million kilometers. A measure of distance known as the single astronomical unit, an AU. Warwick's astronomers believe there is a safe distance from a star, which means just more than a third of the distance between our Sun and Mercury. On average, the scorching planet sits from the Sun at a distance of 36 million miles. Okay, but still, once our Sun decreases, that's the end of life on Earth as we know it as well. Dr. Vera said our study prompts astronomers to look for rocky planets close to, but still just outside of, the destruction radius of the white dwarf. So far, observations have focused on this inner region, but our study demonstrates that rocky planets can survive tidal interactions with the white dwarf, which pushes slightly outward. Astronomers should also look for geometric signatures in known debris disks, and these signatures could be the result of gravitational perturbations from a planet which resides just outside the destruction radius. So they still have a lot of discovering to do. Well, we still don't know when that's going to exactly take place, but that is the cycle and the circle of life, the cycles of life. I'll leave links below for you for this. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.